Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story. I had suggested to Michael, my husband, that we needed a vacation. We needed to go somewhere with lots of sunshine and warmth, leaving the cold gray winter of the Midwest behind to enjoy some sun and fun. The last few months had been very chaotic with work taking up so much of our time. For those who haven't experienced going to work before sunrise and coming home after sunset, it takes a toll. I began reading reviews of different resorts and decided on Secrets Cap Cana in the Dominican Republic. It is an adult-only, all-inclusive resort that has beautiful beaches and a fun nightlife. I made the reservation for the last week of March. 2 months from now, I would have my toes in the sand with sunshine bathing my body. Toward the end of February, Michael said he wasn't sure he would be able to go because he had an opportunity to land a huge client that would be the largest of his career, and, if you would indulge me on this, that's saying something. I, of course, being a loving and supportive wife, said we could postpone our trip until the summer. Michael knew how much I needed this trip and suggested that I go with my bestie Amanda. Amanda is single, never married, and a leader. I have watched how her peers value her opinion and go to her with their most difficult problems. I reached out to Amanda, knowing she hadn't planned a trip. I explained why Michael couldn't go and asked if she would like to come with me. Being my bestie, she knew how much I had been looking forward to this vacation, and she needed to get away too, so she gladly accepted. Amanda is 10 years younger than me at 38, but I look about her age, if not a little younger. For the past couple of months, I've been hitting the gym after work to distress and get into bikini shape for the trip. At 5'3", with light brown hair that falls softly to my shoulders and a great figure, I felt good about myself. Next up was a shopping trip with Amanda for our vacation. Shopping started with new sunglasses, then on to lightweight summer dresses, shoes, and finally bathing suits. I wore some nice bikinis that were very stylish, but not attractive enough according to Amanda. I asked what that was supposed to mean, and she handed me a pair she thought would look attractive. I held one up in front of me and said, "There's almost nothing here, I can't wear this." Amanda said, "Trisha, you have the body for it. Nobody will know us, so let's let loose a little." I went into the dressing room and tried on the first bikini and said there was no way I could wear this. It was completely transparent, leaving nothing, and I mean nothing, to the imagination. Amanda knows me well enough to know this would be my reaction, so she made me try it on so the next one would feel tame by comparison, but far from it. The next bikini I tried on was a yellow one with a top that was very revealing and only had a small area of material. But when tied tightly, it had a cinching effect that accentuated my cleavage. The bikini bottom was cut high on the thighs, exposing most of my figure. I have to admit, I felt pretty hot in that bikini, but told Amanda it was more outrageous than anything I'd ever worn. She shrugged. I accessorized this outrageous bikini with a beautiful sarong that I could wear until I got a tan. That evening, I modeled my purchases for Michael, and his jaw dropped when he saw me in the bikini. He said I looked stunning. I told him about the first bikini Amanda had me try, and he asked why I hadn't gotten it. I said, "Michael, do you really want your wife parading around basically naked with you 1,000 miles away?" Michael's response, "Trisha, you work hard on your figure and have always had a cheeky streak. Why not?" It's true, I like wearing sexy outfits and flirting, but it's always with Michael by my side. I asked, "Are you serious? You really want me to wear something that revealing?" Michael simply smiled and nodded in the affirmative. My inner shameless was instantly excited, and Michael could see it as my face turned a little red as he encouraged me to get it. The day finally arrived, and not a moment too soon. There was a cold rain falling as we arrived at the airport for our early morning flight. That all changed a few short hours later as we got off the plane, seeing the bright sun above, and feeling that warm hug you receive from the heat when arriving in such a beautiful exotic place. I put on my sunglasses and grabbed Amanda's hand as we walked to baggage claim, telling her how much fun I knew we would have. We arrived at Secrets shortly after check-in, got the key cards to our suite, and headed up to see the room. It had a beautiful view of the ocean and a large balcony that was furnished with plush cozy chairs, an end table, and a soaking tub. The bedroom had 2 queen beds, and there was a beautiful bathroom and living room area. We were more than ready for a drink and hungry, so we changed into one of our new lightweight summer dresses, cute sandals, and headed down to the bar for a drink. We picked the Fresco bar because we wanted to be outside to enjoy the sunny weather as well as do a little people watching. The fresco bar had seats on one side, and you could also swim up to the bar for a drink from the poolside. I was feeling so relaxed as I gazed upon some of the other guests and slowly sipped my drink, feeling its effect rather quickly, having not eaten for quite a long time. Amanda and I were commenting on the looks of some of our fellow resort guests, some very intriguing, while others had to work to get back in shape. After a couple of drinks, I was starving with a nice buzz, and we made our way to dinner. We enjoyed a great meal while talking about all the things we wanted to do, which mostly consisted of sunning ourselves, having some drinks, and more people watching. After dinner, we headed to a bar that had live music and a nice dance floor. We settled into a table and ordered another round of drinks. Feeling loose and relaxed, we hit the dance floor, soaking in the music and good vibes of being on vacation. After a couple of songs, I had to use the ladies' room. I asked Amanda if she wanted to come, but she said she would keep dancing, enjoying some of the sights around her. On my way back, I was looking down at something on my dress and bumped into an older distinguished man who had to be in his early 60s with salt and pepper hair, a bit of a dad bod, but also an air of confidence. He said, "If someone is going to nearly run me over, I'm glad it was by someone as beautiful as you." I was so embarrassed that my hand rested lightly on him as I apologized profusely, but he just laughed and told me it wasn't a problem. I found Amanda, but she was dancing with a very handsome man, and not wanting to disturb her fun, I went to the bar for another drink. As I was waiting for my drink, Mr. Distinguished came up next to me and asked if he could buy me a drink, being all-inclusive. We both laughed, and I said maybe next time, as the bartender slid my drink in front of me. He ordered himself a drink and introduced himself as Robert. I, in turn, introduced myself as Tricia, and we shared some small talk as we enjoyed our drinks. Robert, seeing my engagement ring, asked where my husband was and told him about why my husband couldn't come, and I pointed to where I last saw Amanda as my best friend and companion. Robert put his hand on my lower back and felt a slight tremor of excitement as he asked if I wanted to dance. Being a flirt and enjoying the attention of a handsome man, I told Robert what I would like and followed him to the floor. We danced to a couple of fast songs, catching glimpses of Amanda from time to time dancing with her new friend, and Amanda giving me a wink as she saw me dancing with Robert. A slow song was about to start, and Robert asked if he could have the pleasure. I smiled and said, "Yes, thank you, I would like that." I was expecting Robert to take a hand and put an arm around my waist as we danced. Instead, he pulled me close and put both of his arms around me, holding me close. I could feel him pressing into me. As the dance went on, I could feel him getting anxious, his arms sliding down until he was hugging my body. I let him have a quick fumble, then raised my hands and smiled, not wanting to make a big deal out of it, but also slowing him down. It was getting late, and Amanda found me saying she was tired from traveling and asked if I was ready to head up to the room. I introduced Amanda to Robert, and they exchanged pleasantries, after which I told Robert it was nice to meet him and thanked him for the dances. Robert took my hand, kissed it, and told me the pleasure was all his as he leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. In the room, Amanda and I were laughing about how quickly we found men to dance with, and how much fun the first day had been, and we had a whole week to go. I went out to the balcony to call Michael and let him know we had arrived safely, telling him how beautiful the resort was, and that I wished he could be here to enjoy it. I told him about Amanda finding a handsome man to dance with her, and he said that sounded about right and asked what I had done while she was occupied. I told him about first bumping into Robert and then seeing him at the bar and enjoying some nice small talk. He knew that meant flirting and then dancing with Robert. Michael seemed to get much more interested when I told him I had danced with Robert. He asked if we danced to any slow songs. I bit my lower lip saying we had danced to one. Robert wanted to know what kind of slow dance we liked, and I told him about Robert pulling me close, excited, then sliding his hands over me, but I added that I pulled them up quickly. Michael wanted to know why I moved his hands so hastily, and I said, because I'm a married woman who loves my husband, and he said I'm on vacation, and I need to have some fun. I asked what he meant by that, and he said use your imagination. I wanted to know what it was supposed to mean, and he said you have to experience everything this place has to offer. Based on the context of our discussion, which I moved to whether you're asking this because you want a free pass, he said absolutely no, but admitted that the thought of a prominent stranger dancing with me and holding his hand intrigued him. Now, in fairness to Michael, he has told me before he enjoys watching me flirt and work a room, and I reminded him it's always been with him there to take me home at the end of the night. He just laughed and was about to drop a cliché like "what happens?" I stopped him, shook my head, smiled to myself, thinking about feeling Robert's excitement pushing into me, and with that thought in mind said, "Good night, Michael." We awoke the next morning, grabbed a quick bite, and got ourselves beach ready. I had on my new yellow bikini, slipped my sarong on, and waited for Amanda, who came out in the tiniest bikini, nearly making my bikini look matronly. Okay, I exaggerate, but it was even smaller than mine. We found some lounge chairs set up on the beach, and enjoyed a morning of sun, reading, and laughter. Around lunchtime, I said we should go to the fresco bar and sit in the water, have a drink and some lunch. As we relaxed in the pool, I saw Robert sitting at the bar, and he smiled and waved to me. I smiled and waved back. Robert walked to the edge of the pool. I propped myself up so that my arms kept my upper half above the water. I watched Robert's eyes run over my figure. I was used to it, and for some strange reason it always flattered me. Robert let me know that he and some of his colleagues had chartered a dinner cruise and invited Amanda and me. I told Robert I would think about it and ask Amanda and get back to him if it was acceptable. Amanda was all for it because, as it turns out, the handsome man she had been dancing with the night before was one of Robert's associates. Robert asked that we meet them in the lobby at 5, and attire was dress casual. A little later we were in our room getting ready. I put on my makeup and put on a strapless summer dress that came down to about mid-thigh, cute wedge sandals. Amanda was wearing something similar, but she chose to wear heels, which I said might not be the best idea on a boat, but she just waved me off. We met in the hall at the agreed time. Robert gave me a nice hug very close. He looked very handsome, and he was definitely in charge, as all his mates were hanging on his every word. Robert put his arm around me, and we led the group down to the boat. Admittedly, I felt a little self-conscious walking with Robert's arm around me for all his peers to see, not to mention Amanda, who was paying no attention to me and giving it all her to new friend. As we walked, Robert shared that he was the managing partner of a sizable law firm, and the men and one woman with him were all lawyers on staff. The captain greeted us all and welcomed us aboard, saying that this was a 3-hour dinner cruise, and not to hesitate to ask for anything to make the trip enjoyable. Everyone mingled and had drinks, but at one point I found myself alone with Robert. I was slightly tipsy, and I was telling him how handsome he looked tonight, and as soon as I had said it, I felt his lips on mine. He started kissing me softly, and then started kissing me a little more passionately. I kissed him just as passionately, but then I heard someone coming and took a little step back and felt embarrassed and wondered to myself what I was doing. The person I heard was going around letting everyone know dinner was about to be served. We enjoyed a wonderful 5-course meal, followed by a decadent dessert and after-dinner drinks. It was only 10 when the boat made it back to port, and Robert asked if we would like to go out dancing with the group. I was about to say I was a little tired, but before I could answer, Amanda jumped in and said we would love to, and we'd meet them in about 20 minutes at the club. Amanda took my hand and started talking about David, her new friend. She said she was incredibly excited for David, and he raised her temperature during dinner by running his hand up and down her leg under the table. Amanda told me that she had taken off some of her clothes at dinner and given them to David, intending to return to his room tonight. I thought I could call it an early night since Amanda would be busy, but that quickly changed when Robert took my hand and led me to the dance floor. We danced a few quick numbers, and Robert positioned himself behind me, snuggling up to me. I was suddenly tired, and the drinks had loosened my inhibitions so much that I pressed back. I could feel he was very well gifted, and that only added to my excitement. I felt my excitement build and my legs get a little weak. Robert slowly slid his hands up and down my sides, holding me as we danced. A slow song played, and Robert turned me to face him, pulled me close, and started kissing me. I was losing all sense of reason, a small voice in the back of my mind for a moment telling me that maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but then I found myself kissing Robert back. I felt Robert's hand on me, rubbing lightly, his fingers teasing me, making me even more excited and intrigued. Just then the song ended, and the band announced they were taking a break. Robert asked if I would like to get some fresh air, and I agreed. We went outside and down to the beach, sat down on one of the lounge chairs, and we started kissing again. As we kissed, I felt Robert's fingers take my clothes off me. I was so excited for this man that I just gave in to the moment and kissed him wildly when I felt him teasing me. Robert put me on my back and started kissing my neck, which made me wild. Robert kissed me, taking more and more of my clothes off with each kiss, slow and steady. I was wearing sandals. Robert was telling me what an incredible body I had and how attractive I looked in the moonlight. I was thrilled through and through, and I knew he felt he had me exactly where he wanted me. Robert started pleasuring me and I relaxed in return, my fingers running through his hair as he teased me deftly. I could feel my pleasure building, and I wasn't going to hold on for long. I tightened my grip on Robert's hair as he worked me faster and harder. I took a deep breath, and my satisfaction hit me hard. I tried to keep my voice down, but the pleasure was so intense I screamed, followed by silence as my body shook. I was with a man I barely knew on a beach in paradise, feeling intense pleasure and wanting more, needing more. Robert stood up and kissed me, letting me feel my pleasure on his lips. I asked Robert to lie down. I started to remove his clothes. I saw that he was a little soft but fit. I could feel his excitement growing. I felt his warmth. Looking into his eyes, I started teasing him and felt crazy excitement myself. Looking into Robert's eyes again, I began to please him, my eyes locked on his, teasing him and delighting this wonderful man. I worked very skillfully and intensively, feeling some fatigue from my rhythm. Robert said he didn't want to have fun before we were together. Having said that, I fulfilled his request. We started spending time together. I was surprised by the sensations. I have never had such a man. Talking slowly with this man, it felt good, very good. I pressed both hands to him, digging in with my nails, feeling him. I tried to be tougher as he slowed down, but he kept me in complete control of our pace. I was right on the edge. I begged Robert to be with me, chanting over and over again, "Do it, don't stop moaning, do it, do it." Robert reached for me, pulling me forward so he could kiss me. I felt myself tense up, and now there was no going back. I reveled in the most intense pleasure of my life. I squirmed, pushing Robert to the edge. He enjoyed it too before I fell forward, and we met in a kiss. Eventually we ended our conversation and our excitement passed. I lay pressed into him. We kissed softly before I rolled over and lay motionless as we both caught our breath. I felt shivers after the incredible pleasure. Robert and I found our clothes and kissed one more time, Robert saying how incredible that was, and I smiled up at him concurring. He said he and his team would be there for one more night, and if I didn't have plans, he would like to meet the next day. I told him I would like that, but would have to wait to see what Amanda had planned. In the back of my mind, I was thinking what a perfect day to wear the bikini Michael had encouraged me to bring. I would surprise both Amanda and Robert with my risque bikini, and that thought brought a devious little smile to my lips. That thought and how Michael would react to hearing about my night with Robert, which was largely in part to Michael encouraging me to experience all this place had to offer. Subscribe to our channel so that your second C gaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.